inviting me. Limitless, undying love which shines around me like a million suns. It calls me on and on across the universe. Jai Guru Deva. Oh, nothing's gonna change my world. Nothing's gonna change my world. Set my perception. Nothing's gonna change my world. Nothing's gonna change my world. Jai Guru Deva. Jai Guru Deva. Jai Guru Deva. Jai Guru Deva.
Thank you, Kurt. And Julia and Fern, where'd you go? And Renee, thank you. Across the Universe. Who sang that song? Who? Me? Who sang it? The Beatles. Who wrote it? John Lennon. There. Okay, you get an A. So, do you know the story behind that song? When John Lennon was married to his first wife, she was going on and on and on about something. And he was getting more and more irritated. She finally went to bed, and he couldn't get the words out of his head, flowing like an endless stream, because that's what her nagging was doing to him, flowing like an endless stream. So he sat down, he said he had to put it on paper. And he was irritated. So he started writing this song from a place of irritation. But this was a time when the Beatles were studying transcendental meditation. And by the time he finished that song, it had become a spiritual song. Jaya Guru Deva means glory to the spiritual master. Isn't it, and wouldn't it be great to turn every irritating experience I have into a spiritual experience? We can, right? What did Kurt say? Nothing can change my world except my perception. And that's what this talk series is all about. Today's talk is Reset Your Mind. This is a book we're doing. It's called E Squared. And what excites me about it is that it updates God to today's understanding as an energy field of unlimited potentiality that lies beyond the material world. It presents to us an opportunity to move from knowing that we create our world through our thoughts to actually witnessing it happening. And that's why each week we get an experiment to do. So last week, after last week's talk, you were given the experiment to take 48 hours, and for 48 hours, look for blessings. So, did anyone during that time find a blessing? Anyone find more than one? Good. Yay. So I would love to hear about them after the service. I thought about giving you all a mic, but we'd be here for hours. In our class Tuesday morning, Susie shared with me that her and Wesley started this gratitude jar several years ago, right, Susie? And what they do is start at the beginning of the year, and every time they have a blessing in their life, they put it in here. And at the end of the year, they sit down and read all the blessings that happened during the year. I think this is a great practice for any of us. So how many of you read the book or saw the movie The Secret? And it was about the law of attraction. And at the time it came out, the law of attraction was a new concept to a lot of people. But it isn't new. Unity, New Thought has been teaching it since the early 1800s. And it began way before then. In Proverbs, as a man thinks, so he is. Law of attraction, law of mind action. And Jesus was a master teacher of the law of attraction. In Matthew 7:7, he writes, and you've heard this one. Now hear it differently. Now hear it as a law of attraction. Ask, and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and the door will be opened. How many years ago, guys? And you know, and it's still out there for us, isn't it? And then in Matthew 21:22, he says, whatsoever you ask in prayer, believe in, you shall receive. It's all about our thinking. So we have the power. We have the power to change our life from one of irritation to one of a spiritual experience. Wow. What my brain focuses on draws things to it like a magnet. My brain becomes a magnet to whatever is going on. And that's the law of attraction. So, that's a great image. That's a great image. If you go home and remember that one. So, you decide you're going to get in a car. Maybe a used one, maybe a new one. And what do? We start researching it, right? We go online, we look things up, we ask people about them. And the more we do that, all of a sudden, what happens? We start seeing more and more of those cars, don't we? Now, they didn't just appear out of thin air, but my focus is bringing those cars into the sphere of my awareness. Now, I remember a few years back when the Prius came out and people here were starting to get them. All of a sudden, I was seeing Prius everywhere. I'd never even noticed them before. And then Ron and Judy got a Mini Cooper. And all of a sudden, I was seeing Mini Coopers everywhere. Now, they'd always been there. I just hadn't noticed them. The field of potentiality is all around us. It's like a gigantic, now get this picture in your head, it's like a gigantic Home Depot with hundreds of thousands of products or possibilities. So when you go to Home Depot, I usually go in for certain things. And I know where those things are. And I'm oblivious to all the hundreds of thousands of things that are in that store. Because I know where the keys are, where you get the keys made. I know where the paint is, right, Juan? I know where to buy birdseed. But we have, if you notice the tables in the hospitality room, they have these sliders on them. And so we needed some sliders for the church. I went in Home Depot. I could not find them. I had no idea. So I had to ask. And and when the salesperson took me down the aisle, it was an aisle I had gone down many, many times. And here was this whole selection of sliders. But I never saw them. Why? Because I wasn't looking for them. I didn't even know they existed. We don't see things if we're not looking for it. But it doesn't mean they're not there. It doesn't mean it's not real. It just means I'm not aware of it. The law of attraction says what I focus on is what I see. What I focus on is what I get. And if I'm focused on all those problems and worries, I am just going to see more problems and worries. Lack, unhappiness, fear are no more prevalent in this world than prosperity, joy, and love. So if I'm focused on unhappiness, lack, fear, that's all I'm going to keep seeing. You've had those times, I know, in my life. If I just get through this problem, if I just get through this situation, and as soon as I do, what happens? There's another one to take its place, and my whole life becomes one situation after another. one problem after another, because that's what I'm seeing. There's a field of infinite possibilities available to us. But because my eyes are locked on problem mode, that's what appears as my reality. Do you hear that? Do you get that? My life can be a song of irritation, or it can be a song of a spiritual experience. We talked about our inherited beliefs last week. And those inherited beliefs of scarcity and fear are just bad thought habits. That's all they are. Each week you're going to be given an experiment. And what this experiment is going to do is help reset your mind. It is actually going to rewire your brain and help you see with your own eyes that you can change your world, you can change your reality simply by observing it differently. Scientists tell us there's an infinite number of quantum particles in the universe. And they're moving and they're spreading out in waves. I remember when I first read this, it stunned me. But as soon as someone looks at them, they can't be seen. Do you remember Snow White when she was lying? I don't know if you remember, but she was lying in the forest on the ground and she's crying, and she felt like eyes were looking at her. Well, they were. There were dozens of forest creatures just scampering around. But as soon as she lifted her head and looked, all she saw was the solid forest. Moving waves and particles conform to our thoughts and expectations, which means I create my own experiences. Because these waves and these particles are invisible, I don't understand them, and I don't know how to use them in my favor. But this is what this is about. It's about learning how to use this matter, this invisible energy in my life. Because it's energy, I'm energy, every thought I have is a wave of energy. This is a big shift in how we've looked at what we call God. It's a huge shift. But it's saying the same thing. It's just bringing it in. It's meeting science. We're meeting it with science now. So I think what I perceive with my senses is true. You ever been with several people and you're all looking at something and everybody's describing it in a different way? Right? In this room, right here, right now, each of you, you may think everybody's seeing it the same way. We're all seeing it through our own perception, through our own thinking. Even the colors, we each see differently. You're having your unique experience. Each of us are having our own unique experience as we sit here. We think what we perceive with our senses is true. But the fact is, it's only 1/2 of 1/1,000,000th of a percent of what's possible. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, how exciting is that? How exciting is that? Here's this world I've been seeing. And it's just a smidget of what's possible. So all I need to do is just see more, allow more, be less judging, be more forgiving, stop thinking I'm always right, that it's my way. You know, all those things that my ego owns. So, you can tell I'm excited. I'm so excited this book is coming so people can read it. And it's been out for a while. It's just taken a while for me to get it to you. But what I get so excited about is that science has now proved It has now proved the law of attraction. It has found at the base, it's known, it's there, but at the base of a brain there's a group of cells, and they're called the reticular activating system. To make it easy, we're going to call it RAS. And up until now, it's been known that it was responsible for regulating our wakefulness and our sleep-wake transitions. But recently, scientists have found that this system also filters 400 billion bits of information that bombard our mind every second. So as you're sitting here, there's 400 billion bits of information coming at your brain. Sounds, tastes, smells, colors, images, pictures. But our brain can only process 2,000 bits of the 400 billion. 2,000 bits of the 400 billion. So, the RAS's job is to keep our brain from overload. So what it does is it sorts which information is important, which information our consciousness is going to receive. It's like the gatekeeper at the front desk of an office. It's like Kim as my gatekeeper. Okay? It screens who gets in to see the boss, and she does a lot of screening, let me tell you. But the exciting part about the RAS is it allows in only what I'm focused on. That's what it deems important. The thoughts I have is what it deems important. So it is going to bring me more things to match those thoughts. Do you see where we're going? It's going to bring me things that jibe with my belief system. The rest is just going to push away. It's going to say it's not important. What I think is what I get more of. In Unity, we say thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. Law of attraction, law of mind action. So, just from the time you got up this morning, think about some of the things you've been focused on. And are they things you want more of? You know, not enough hours in the day. Ever think that one? Not enough hours. So what happens? I'm always racing against time, aren't I? Yeah. I never have enough money. You know what? If that's a thought I hold, no matter how much money I have, it is never going to be enough. Life is just one problem after another. How's that working for you? So as I was writing this talk, I was, of course, spent all week on it. I was focused on the law of attraction. And I had no idea what today's metaphysical class, the quest, was on. And of course, it's on the law of attraction. So here's what today's lesson says. Through the power of our thinking, we are continuously drawing kinds of events into our lives. When I focus on negative, problems, worries, illness, fear, the RAS filters out the positive and only lets in what I'm focused on. Do you hear that? Can you really get it? On page 192, it says, if there are things in your life which need a new direction, now mentally grab it. What's that thing in your life that needs a new direction? Know that you are creating your tomorrow with the thoughts and the emotions of today. You want to change your life. Change your thinking. We can focus our thoughts on the positive just like when we're going to buy a car. And then we're going to see opportunities everywhere. You know, people will show up that can help us to get to our dreams and our desires. Opportunities will show up. And they seem to magically appear, but they've always been there. We talk about living in the present moment. And that's what's so good about the present. If I'm living worried about what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day or next year or when I retire, I'm going to get more problems around those things. If I am just in the present moment and trust that my desires, my joy, there will be things put in front of me and all I have to do is keep stepping toward it. I've experienced this in my life. I know it's possible. I know it works. Life shows up to meet what I think. I've had so many wonderful experiences in life. I've done lots of traveling, lived on a boat, scuba dived. I can't even name, traveled throughout the world. I didn't plan any of that. It just came up because I wasn't worried about what was going to happen next. And there was always, I'd lived for 6 months on $200 and came home with $100. Had the best time of my life. It's called knowing that there is abundance there and we are taken care of at all times. Big shift. But this is where we start. We start with baby steps. Start with those worries and those problems that you have right now. And think of what that is that you're focused on and replace it by something positive. And every time that negative comes in, put the positive there. Until you start attracting that. Until when the negative gets to your Raz, it throws it away and lets the positive in. Because now it's scientifically proven that that's what it's going to do. There is no power on earth or throughout this universe that can cut you off from your good except your thoughts. Jesus told us everything is possible for him who believes. Do I believe? Do I believe that everything is possible? Do I believe that my life can be all good? You know, we have that saying, it's all good. It is. Now, can that be my dominant thought? So this week, your experiment this week is you're going to set your Raz for positive things. And remember, as you do this, you're actually rewiring your brain. You're going to have another 48-hour experiment. The first 24 hours, you're going to be looking for one thing, like maybe that next car you want to buy, and see how many times you see it. You'll spend 24 hours doing that. And then the second day, the second 24 hours, change it. Look for something different. Now, in the book, they tell about a person who lived in Michigan, and in January, she decided she'd look for yellow butterflies. She found them on stationery. She went to her child's friend's birthday party and saw them on the paper cups. You know, Reverend Therese is always looking for hearts. You know, first she started finding shells and then stones, and now she's finding everything in heart shapes. It's what I'm looking for. So think about it. You've got 2 days. I've been trying to figure out, and I keep getting the same thing, and I keep pushing it aside. Let me tell you, what I keep getting is snow. So I went, okay, I have got to, if I'm going to prove that this works, I have got to look for snow for one day. So I'll let you know next week. The world reflects our thoughts. So you're going to start right now. And you're going to reach up, and you're going to flip off that negative switch in your head, and you're going to turn on the positive, and you're going to reset your mind. God bless.